I like Apple products because they're easy to use and they're easy to learn how to use. They're easy to show other people how to use because most things are in the same places in all applications.
Basically, the apps, I think, have the most functionality to do my everyday banking, fun, online. Apps are really what drives the reason why we're using iPad products.
It has a lot of apps like the FaceTimes and like the WeChat and some like apps like can help me to connect with my friends.
You know what? I love Siri. Whenever I'm bored, I just talk to her. It's like I have no friends, but I talk to Siri, and I love the fingerprint thing, so against boyfriends and stuff. I'm just kidding.
And those were just a few Apple users at Apple's flagship store on Fifth Avenue explaining why they're such avid Apple fans. Well, shareholders are certainly liking Apple today after the company announced that it would buy back shares, increase its dividend, and split its stock 7-for-1. The news sent shares almost 8% higher in after-hours trading. Apple also beat Wall Street's profit and sales estimates for the past quarter, and with the latest on how Apple performed, Mark New joins us live from Silicon Valley. Mark, a big day for Apple.
That's right. Wall Street is certainly happy with these results. Apple reports an earnings per share of $11.62 on revenue of $45.6 billion. That handily beats estimates of $10.18 on $43.53 billion. Apple also addressed criticism it was too stingy with its cash reserves. It announced a 7-for-1 stock split, and the board approved a dividend increase of approximately 8%. The company additionally said it would boost the overall size of its capital return program to more than $130 billion by the end of 2015, up from its previous $100 billion plan. But the big number that pleased Wall Street was iPhone sales. Analysts had expected sales of 37.7 million units. Instead, Apple sold 43.7 million. But still, some analysts say that this earnings report was not all that important in the grand scheme of things. They are eyeing the next 2 quarters when Apple will have to come out with something big to keep investors and customers satisfied.
What is Apple's next move? The tech blogs are rife with rumors that the iPhone is about to get bigger. Apple's latest, the iPhone 5S, has a 4-inch screen. Multiple media reports claim later this year, Apple will be releasing an iPhone with a screen that measures 4.7 inches and another premium model with one that's 5.5 inches.
Well, there's no question that Apple needs to do a larger screen iPhone. The market is moving in that direction. They're way behind. Once people have tried a bigger phone and they go back to an iPhone, it looks like a toy. So they're going to do it. The question is, do they do both a 4.7 inch, as they're rumored to do, and a 5.5 inch? We'll see.
Many analysts believe a storm is brewing inside Apple headquarters, where company leaders recognize the competition is gaining. In fact, tech analyst O'Donnell says Apple is no longer the leader when it comes to phone hardware, and that several companies have jumped ahead with thinner phones that have higher resolution screens.
One piece of hardware that could shake up the market, the iWatch, has yet to even be confirmed as existing. That hasn't stopped Apple fans from posting guesses and sometimes fantasies of what it could someday be. But it's already a crowded market for connected watches and fitness devices. Just days ago, Nike told tech site CNET it was laying off as much as 55 engineers in the hardware division responsible for its FuelBand product. Because Apple CEO Tim Cook is also on Nike's board, speculation grows that perhaps Nike could be working with Apple on a wrist product or just anticipating the arrival of the iWatch.
There are a whole bunch of challenges when it comes to watches that are very different than phones. You know, it might be okay for everybody to have a similar phone, but not to have the exact same watch on your wrist. I think that's a challenge. So I think you're seeing Apple probably working on adding jewelry-like elements to it.
Making fashion just as important as functionality could play to Apple's strengths in creating a wearable device. Though for now, the iWatch remains, like much of Apple's playbook, still a mystery.
The question now becomes when all these devices will be unveiled to the public. The iWatch is still anyone's guess, but most analysts expect to see it closer to the end of the year. As for the next iPhone, the expectation is to see a glimpse of it at Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference in June. One reason it's expected to be there is that it's got to get out soon so that developers know the specifications, especially the dimensions of the screen, for example. That will allow developers time to plan and work on their applications so that their software is ready to go when the iPhone does hit the stores. Michelle.
Mark, let's focus back on the earnings report. And iPad sales were a little disappointing. What's the latest on the iPad, its performance and prospects?
That's right. Somewhat buried in all the good news was the troubling news that iPad sales underperformed. Analysts had expected 19.7 million units to be sold. It ended up just being 16.35 million. The feeling here is that there's just not much room left for growth with the iPad. Apple has already put out the iPad mini, and you get too much larger with the regular iPad, and essentially might as well be a laptop. Also, it just goes to show that once someone has an iPad, they don't feel the need to get a new one. Contrast that with the iPhone, which people are happy to upgrade frequently. The iPhone is still Apple's darling, and sales are up 17% year over year. Michelle.
Okay, thank you so much as always, Mark. Mark New in Silicon Valley.